Hi, I'm Pastor So-and-so, and I make my living by ignoring two-thirds of the Bible and lording it over the flock. And, if you don't know how to pray on tongues, what I like to tell people is you just start out with your soda products. Pepsi, Sprite, root beer, and Coke. And you just start repeating them soda products. Root beer, Coke, root beer, Coke, root beer, Coke. Before you know it, you're going to be, even if you're not in the spirit, you'll be tingly. Now, it's funny, but it's true. There's no room for you. There's probably going to be a vacancy in that bathroom position soon. Because if she don't just fall over and die of old age, probably get her on the bulletins. So that's really where you need to be. You need to be thinking about making sure your pastor's blessed and keeping them bathrooms clean. And then we can talk about whether or not God has a call for you. And we're going to be selling James 2 prayer clause that say faith without works is dead on one side, and on the other side we're going to say even the demons believe and tremble. What you want to do is you want to give them to people who are struggling in their faith and need a little bit of encouragement. There's a lot of people who need encouragement to believe harder because they're lazy. A more domesticated application for a prayer cloth like this is, let's say you get home and your wife has clearly been down for a while. The meals are starting to not be so good. Oh, that laughter. The meals aren't as good as they used to be, and the vacuuming is not as thorough. Well, she probably needs the encouragement. We all go through the storms of this life, and what you can do is you can put James 2 prayer cloth underneath her pillow, and for an extra $30, I recommend that you get a CD of Pastor So-and-so reading Proverbs 31, and you just loop it in her sleep. The virtuous woman, I find that to be very encouraging. That's when I realized I needed to get a better sense of my calling, and I started going to pastors' conferences, and I found out that you can't just preach the gospel and preach grace to everybody and expect to make a living at this thing. They told me the secret is to preach James 2 and Matthew 7. Well, I went ahead and started practicing at funerals. I preached Matthew 7. I preached Matthew 7 at Brother Gimpy's funeral, and just absolutely scared the congregation to death. They told them, the great verse in 21, what you not all who say to me, Lord, Lord, right? Oh, I love that verse. And you know what? I had them all in tears. I found that the order of service is very important. You want to have your worship team build the set so that the most hooting and hollering, exciting music happens right before the offering. You get them offering plates ready to go, and you get those people whooped up. By the time you get to the offering, you should have a primed congregation who's just done a good 45 minutes of worship in there. Just absolutely hysterical. One thing you want to watch, though, is to keep the tambourines out of your service. You want to make sure you solidify your base. And the way I do this is every year I preach about forgiveness and bitterness and negativity and murmuring. Then I'll start asking for prayer and saying, there's people in the congregation that have been speaking out against so-and-so's authority, and I just humble myself before God and ask for him to deliver me from my foes. And then, I get preaching on Moses and Korah and the rebellion. And when I'm doing this, I got the ushers. What they do is they pretend to be staring at someone knowingly while I preach. There's plenty of work to get done around here. And that's one of the best ways to meet people is by getting yourself into some kind of work group, whether it's the children's ministry or the parking lot, or you
there's a cleaning team that cleans my house and cleans bathrooms. So there's a number of things for you to plug into. Don't complain about not having fellowship if you ain't plugging in and getting some work done around here. We decided to hire a new worship minister. Now I'm not sure he's a believer, but he is in a popular band called Kiss the Devil, and they are really something else. I've enjoyed going to see the show. I can't understand a word they're saying. It's all yelling, but there's a lot of energy and lots of lights, and they're very loud, and he's cheap. He's looking for a part-time job. The lead singer's looking for a part-time job to supplement his income so he doesn't have to keep living in his girlfriend's basement. And I told him, why don't you come here and lead a contemporary worship service. Now, faith without works is dead, James said. Faith without works is dead, James said. Faith without works is dead, James said. Did you hear what James said? That's what I said. And I heard a voice, clear as day, say, you are going to be the pastor of a church where 5 to 10 out of every 12 people is going to be robbing God of tithes and offerings, and you're going to need to lay into them about it pretty regular. I remember one dream I had. There was this black bird that came out of a chocolate cake and flew right at me, and the interpretation of that dream is that you've been robbing God of your tithes and your offerings. Long day of meeting with some brethren that were asking me to give them a license to sin. And I tried to explain to them that, I don't traffic in, I'm not the DMV for sinners, giving out licenses to sin, do whatever they want, not get any work done around here. We're already thinking about getting rid of the people who have been doing ushering and the ushers I pay to do security. We're thinking about replacing. The problem with that, though, is the Indians are so little that they're just not intimidating enough to look knowingly, and they don't understand what I'm saying, so they might miss the cues to look knowingly when I'm accusing someone of rebellion subtly without mentioning their name. I need the ushers to be looking knowingly at the people in question so that they get the idea. So when you're done with your whining and your grumbling and complaining, you'll be happy to know that I've been explaining how to get plugged in and blessed around here is to get yourself a broom and get to work around here.